Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on Flux Gourmet, which is a movie about artists who cook. It seems to be pretty much the peak ultimate in pretentious movies. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. Links in the description. Comedy Horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys. Books 1 through 8 now. Flux Gourmet. So the premise is this is sort of like an emo kid, and he's into making noises, and he joins this group of, I'll call them performance artists, I guess, and they do weird stuff with food while he does noises. I don't know if people eat them. It's from acclaimed writer and director Peter Strickland. When they say things like acclaimed, they're kind of, to me, like pushing it a little too hard. But okay, maybe he's unknown, but known in a certain community. Director of In Fabric, The Duke of Burgundy, Burbian Sound Studio, and Catalan Varga. I've never heard of any of those. Doesn't mean they're bad. But apparently the kid gets involved with these two women who do this bizarre performance art slash cooking, even going so far to live with them, I guess, sleeping in the same bedroom and separate beds. And it's all very arty and experimental. And then I think at some point the father or the older dude joins them in their art collective because he farts. I mean, it could be a send-up of art. You know, it could be a send-up of, you know, arty people who go too far. Maybe that's it. Although then they play this old song about backstage, and then, oops, blowing up. And here he is again. I don't know. And there's all sorts of, and then this scene where they're all dressed in tight leather outfits, I guess to go break into a house. And he's talking about writing his own memoirs. And look, I mean, I'm not familiar with the work of any of these actors, but yeah, I like that they're giving credit to all the actors like that. They're giving their own thing, and then here's a dinner that goes awry. I can't tell what the hell's going on, basically, what this boils down to. I absolutely cannot tell what the hell's going on. It's a little like a Wes Anderson movie with less explanation, like zero explanation, like pushed so far over the edge. Written and directed by Peter Strickland. Is there any more info on this? Oh, AFC Midnight. Okay. It just, you know, the whole thing feels like art for art's sake with Leo Bremer and Leo Bill. I mean, I guess they're the headliners in this, but I don't know their names. You know, it has potential as a comedy, I think, the concept. So it could be, again, a send-up of very pretentious people just doing ridiculous things to get attention, and in the end, they you know, they realize they're idiots. I'm not sure. The trailer doesn't really tell me much. It just kind of expects me to figure it out. And they just do a bunch of weird stuff that could be considered funny if it was pushed the right way. It seems about like 2 degrees off of being funny. Like if they jacked it up just a little more, or did something actually funny. They just seem to be doing weird stuff that borders on funny. That's so weird. It could be funny, but I'm not sure whether to laugh or say, oh, this is pretentious garbage. So it says a feast of hilarity and horror. I'm not sure the horror angle. Are they doing something? Are they killing people and eating them? I don't know. The trailer doesn't tell me. The trailer doesn't tell me much. feels like a movie that's so caught up in itself, it expects you to sort of figure it out. And that is a real problem. There's a problem in the world with the suits, the studio guys, micromanaging projects to death and making them too broad or, these days, ideologically driven. There's also a problem from the artist end. Artists can get too indulgent, right? They get so indulgent they just can't see the forest from the trees. They know what they're doing. In their heads, they see it, but they're not communicating it to the audience. And there are some movies that sort of, they're kind of so interesting and good, they kind of cross over that, and people are willing to kind of sift through it and figure it out, but it's extremely rare. Is this one of those movies? I don't know. It doesn't appear to be. I mean, usually a movie that's surreal and is unapologetic about it. If it's avant-garde and unapologetically avant-garde, that's one thing. But see, they are saying stuff about the movie, a feast of hilarity and horror. It's kind of like it's lots of things. So that sort of spreading out of the adjectives, no matter what you say about it. Well, it wasn't very funny. Well, it's really a horror. Well, it wasn't very scary. Well, it's really a comedy. Well, I didn't understand it. Well, So, would I see this? Probably not. And plus, it's on IFC, and that to me would be a place where these kinds of projects would occasionally show up. A triumph, a fully realized, immaculately tailored creation of what? Where are the specifics here? What is this? Is it about art? Is it about performers? Is it about the relationships between these characters? I mean, all I know is one of the characters likes to make noise. This guy likes to fart. And these women like to play around in weird food. I mean, again, it has the potential, but there's nothing, it doesn't seem to be anything specific about this. Or it's part of a world that's so obscure, I don't know about it, and lots of other people probably don't. Not sure the time period she's smoking, and I don't know, it could take place in the past by a few decades, perhaps. The color scheme reminds me of something older. The clothes and the hair really don't give it away. Like even this scene, what is this? Are they performing, or what are they doing? So, Flux Gourmet, meh. The three act breakdown. If I had to guess, it's probably centered around the kid. He's having trouble in school, and he gets introduced to these women somehow and becomes a part of their art collective. Act 2, the art collective does more and more weird things, and I guess the dad or the older guy joins it too at some point, or they just become so self-absorbed, and by the third act one of the characters, probably this one, is pushing for more and more extreme things for the performance that it gets so out of hand. Somebody gets hurt or dies. I mean, it's just a guess. The trailer's so disjointed and vague and full of elements that don't really come together. I don't know. It could be something completely different. Maybe it's just the cut of this trailer. Definitely has something to do with food. And I like food. I love food. So, I don't know what you're doing here. It's just kind of a mess. I mean, Tell us what the movie is. Give us an idea. You know, it's not. This isn't a time period where you can put, quotes from various critics, and we're just going to trust that. Critics have, especially in movies and entertainment, they don't hold any currency with fans anymore. Not really. What currency does, Time Out have? Does it? Does it have a good rep? I don't know. A lot of these places, I mean, Screen Daily, this isn't like back in the day. Like in the 70s, if you read a New York Times article by Pauline Kael about a movie, you could kind of say, oh, well, she really likes this movie. Maybe this is something to see. These days, there aren't critics like that. Very few people have that kind of credibility. I mean, I like the Critical Drinker. I trust a lot of his opinion, but there's everybody's on the internet these days. Every YouTuber has a half-ass opinion about movies. So who are you going to trust? So putting these quotes up, I don't think it really does anything for you. Siskel and Ebert, I guess, were like the last big name critics. You could, I didn't totally have the same sensibilities as them, but I could kind of gauge it, right? That's what critics do. You can kind of gauge, what I like. If you watched my channel, I really like zombie movies and a few other genres, gangster movies. So if I get excited about one of them, I've seen a lot of one of them, and it's going to be probably pretty interesting. And if I poo-poo it, that maybe it's just a run-of-the-mill kind of zombie or gangster movie. Other movies, I've said, hey, this looks like quality, but it's not my thing. It doesn't really. So even a guy like me, and you may watch my channel and gauge based on that, you can't gauge me for everything. So a quote from me, unless it's a certain kind of movie, doesn't really mean that much. And so even if this is a good movie, it's kind of narrowly focused in a community that probably isn't all that large. So I would say, unless you're super hardcore in the arts, performance, and weird stuff, and you're so immersed in film and you've seen everything, yeah, maybe this movie would bring something to the table. It'd be like, oh yeah, this is weird. Oh yeah, because you're so full of movies in your brain, you need anything different to kind of wake you up. But just looking at it on its surface, it just seems like an indulgence. Anyhow, that's it from me, Tony D, and Little Joan. We'll check you out in the next one.